So when and how to rotate in the golf swing? It certainly was a mystery for me for many, many years. And it's only when I started to coach did I start to discover, hang on, I've been kind of doing this wrong. So for years and years and years, my theory was always, I need to rotate more through the golf ball. All the best players rotate through the golf ball. And just trying to rotate hard and fast from the start to the downswing of a transition area of the golf swing is what I thought I had to do. And that kind of works if you've got the golf club in the right spot or slightly too deep. It can suit certain people for matchups. But for me, it's not the be all and end all, and it's not the way 95% of golfers should play golf. So you might be thinking I've gone a bit mad, but what I want you to do essentially is control how and when you rotate in the downswing. So what we want to look at is basically making sure that we do not rotate too early in the downswing. Let me put this in there as well, that there will always be some rotation, but what I want to do is reduce probably the level of rotation and the speed of the rotation and save that more for the lower part of the downswing. So what we tend to see with most golfers is they swing back and then they think, okay, I'm going to rotate because I've got to get open at contact, and they rotate everything as much as they can, as quick as they can. And they end up in this kind of shape I am here, where the golf club tends to want to then go out and over, and they tend to feel like the weight shift doesn't really happen. And then what happens is the club swipes across the golf ball, we wipe it, we cut across it, we glance it, we lose a lot of power, we create those straight pull shots or big slice shots or fade shots. Now a little fade is obviously absolutely fine. All the other shots we talked about there, we would not want. So what we tend to notice with the best movers in the world is as they start the downswing, there's more of a lateral shift and a very subtle rotation. And it's very important to get the position, so the lateral position, before the rotation. Now these things happen so bloody quick that you won't even really be able to feel or do the change. But what we want to do is try and stay closed, essentially. So from the top of the backswing, if we stay closed and shift laterally till we get to our arm to about parallel to the ground here, then from there, then we want to feel that we just rotate and rotate as fast and hard and as much as we can. Therefore, we are shifting laterally first. We've got the low point control we want. By shifting laterally, it helps shallow the club and lower the club into the slot that then allows us to rotate and not lose our swing plane or not throw that club head out. So that happens. We also want to, as we start down, staying close, feel like the arms move a little bit more towards target and feel like they're in front of the rotation. And again, so we want it to be shallowing but in front of the rotation. I'll explain that in detail in a second. And then we want to rotate through the golf ball. So I'm going to share with you now a couple of ways of feeling these things. One will focus very much on blending these movements. One's going to focus very much on the arm swing. And again, the other one will give us some feedback on whether we're matching these up correctly. Let's first of all talk about blending these movements with the first exercise, which is what I would call the pump drill. So if I go to the top of my backswing, I feel like I pump these arms down while staying closed. I feel that these arms get down so the glove gets close to the golf ball. I still retain my wrist positions. I'm not throwing them away. I'm not trying to increase my lag. I'm trying to feel like my elbow gets in front of my rib cage as much as I can. And I'm feeling like I'm getting no rotation. Now, as I move my arms more towards the golf ball, there is rotation, which is why I go back to what I said earlier. There will be some rotation. You get some rotation for free. There's no way I can move my arm there without some rotation happening when I got both arms together. So there'll always be some rotation. Let's call it a recentering. When you watch a lot of the great players, you'll see the chest still points behind the golf ball here somewhat, and then you'll see the rotation be pretty consistent and solid through this impact area, so the delivery position to the impact area and post-impact area. Whereas a lot of golfers will see a lot of rotation and then stalling. So what we're trying to do with this pump drill is feel we get the club down, 1, 2, and on number 3 we would hit. And we're trying to feel again that the arms work down, we stay closed, then rotate. So let's give one of those a go. So 1, 2, and 3. And it feels a bit awkward. Let's be real about this. But what we're trying to do there is create the sync and the sequence that we would want in the golf swing in order to achieve that. The second exercise I want you to do is a bit of an oldie but a goodie. So align my rod through the belt loops. And again, this is about awareness. So if I rotate too quickly, you'll see here my trail arm will hit the rod. Obviously, if my trail arm comes way out, I can miss the rod with the rotation still. So be aware of that. If the arm's way out in front of you, that's not what we want. What we want you to do is try and feel like this rod stays closed, but the arms come down in front of that rod. Then we almost try and get the rod to catch up with the arms. And we want this rod in the finish position to be obviously pointing way, way left of target. So we want lots of rotation just in the right place again. So we're going to the top of the swing, feel like the arms come down, but then we rotate and there's no contact on this at all. But we're trying to feel like it tries to catch up. That's what we want. No contact, still felt I had plenty of rotation. Felt like I was in sync, which is exactly what we want from this video. So have a go at that exercise. Any contact, we don't want. If you can't feel the contact, stick a noodle on top of this to make this a bit thicker and you'll feel it a little bit more. Let's get stuck into the last exercise. For the last exercise, I just want you to take a ball and put it in your lead hand. Again, what I want you to do is take your backswing to the top, and what I'd want you to be able to do is throw this ball. I want you ideally to throw this ball past that ball while still staying back here with the chest. So I keep my hand on this chest, if you want, on my rib cage here, keep my facing back, and I want my arm to go down. And that sensation of the arm kind of going down and forward and then turning is what I want you to have. So top of the swing. So we're trying to again get the arms to almost feel like they initiate the movement down. Again, from a science point of view, the lower half's going to work first. But what we see with lots of golfers is these arms get so far behind them because the rotation tends to happen twitchy and early that they can't create the correct pressure on the golf ball, and they can't then get the direction or the plane to be in the right place to hit great golf shots. So what we get you to do is do that throwing action 3, 4, 5 times, then get to the golf ball and try and feel that you're doing the same thing. The throwing action while staying what you feel is closed. And for sure, like all these drills, they felt slightly different to my normal swing, which is great.